What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. Go over some of the data points, break it down what's really moving it today, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So there's roughly less than 1 minute left in the trading day, currently up 1.65%, having this nice last minute push. In my opinion, I was kind of anticipating the opposite to happen. So of course tomorrow you do have unemployment numbers coming out first thing, so I would have anticipated a little bit more of a spooking, but it seems to be people rather optimistic. Today you did have initial jobless claims coming in a little bit hotter than anticipated, so 225 versus 222, so that kind of spooked the broader market slightly. Didn't really change the outlook for the November 7th meeting. So right now there still is a good consensus of a 25 basis point cut and a 34.6% likelihood of a 50 basis point cut. So all in all, pretty good stuff. No actual news from Lucid itself, no SEC filings, nothing like that. You've seen on social media and a lot of articles kind of talking on how the 3rd was going to be the day that Lucid unveils their numbers. And up until now, unless they do it after hours, nothing has really come out. This is what I did refer to yesterday as far as the sales. So just leasing sales, and so you can get up to around 15,000 in savings. So that is combined with the whole EV tax credit and just Air kind of offers and whatever else. So yeah, generally that is good stuff. I'm going to play this near the tail end of the video. So this is a new interview that just came out today with Philar, if I'm saying that right, of Lucid Motors. So yeah, pretty good stuff. It's more so to do with just supply agreements, and so it's not the most exciting kind of chat, but if you're one of those individuals that likes to know how things are going behind the scenes, then kind of stay tuned for that. But getting right to some of the data points, no new analyst ratings. Shorts right now are increasing 596,000 shares. 30.49% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 273.37 million shares. Cost to borrow average 5.36, and then utilization 94.29. So I've done several videos. I do almost one every single day. And honestly, based on the data, I don't know, it looks like some days shorts know something, and then some days just abnormal buying and options activity, someone knows something. It's just, I don't know, honestly, it's all over the place. Even today, despite shorts increasing, you did have abnormal options activity. So the market just closed 1 minute ago right now, but 450,000 in calls, 295,000 in puts. 71% of all the options being done today are optimistic and bullish, no different than yesterday. Yesterday, 91%, and I did a late night video all about that. But similarly, within between I guess 240 and 245, there was 71,000 in options or in premiums that was done. So if we kind of look at this, just organize it based on premium, and so both are bullish. And so it looks like 350 calls with a expiry date of January 17th 2025. So generally very, very optimistic. So you have a lot of these abnormal transactions that it's signaling that maybe people are anticipating upside, and usually retail doesn't throw $14,000 in one transaction, or 10,000, or even yesterday was millions. That is big money. So once again, options activity is just merely a sentiment. It does not move the stock price, so kind of just be prepared and just aware of that. But looking right here of the call options that are being purchased, you do see a consensus for it to be kind of around that 350 or above that 350. And then looking at puts, people are anticipating for it to be sub $3. So honestly, it's all over the place. I think a lot of people are just waiting for Lucid's Q3 numbers. So like I said, I do feel like they'll come out early next week. If they come out earlier, then even better. But I think a lot of people are waiting for that and the Gravity. So honestly, it's all over the place. We'll just have to wait and see. But you know what? I think Lucid did state in their last earnings that this quarter that just passed was going to be seasonally low. So if it does come in at 2,000, possibly, as what I said in my kind of predictions yesterday, so 2,100 and then 2,000 produced, 2,100 delivered, then I still see that as extremely bullish and that Lucid is moving in the right direction. Some people might disagree and say it's not sufficient, but I think investors that have been in Lucid a while, they're finally seeing some stuff happen in 2024. And so aside from that, though, these are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. Actually, I'll just hit refresh so we can kind of see some after hours. So after hours, you do see some selling, but aside from that, one transaction today was a buy, and you can tell that based on the bid, the ask, and the selling price, and the premium was for $378,000. So at least you're not seeing a full amount of selling, similar to what has happened on the 1st, on the 30th, and 27th as well. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Right now, with it at $3.40, or I guess closing at that point, it is slightly above this S1, or sorry, 341, just updated. But $3.38 will be the strong support that you'll want to watch for it to stay above tomorrow. And then flip side, 373 will be that next strong resistance / target. And then aside from that, $3.16 will be another following support. Even though the market did kind of run into the tail end of today, clearly just some last minute optimism for tomorrow's numbers, opposite could happen. So just anticipate a hell of a lot of volatility with tomorrow's unemployment numbers, because Powell did state that the labor market is, like, data coming out from that in regards to that is more important than even GDP numbers right now. So everyone and their dog is going to be really watching that very, very closely. And aside from that, on the actual chart, still lower percentile of the boiling band, and also below that 50-day moving average. But today it did kind of bounce off of this right here, so the 100-day moving average. So it might just kind of stay within this limbo between these 2 points up until Lucid unveils their numbers. But looking at stochastic, you do see it at 13, very oversold. So if Lucid was to come out with some good news or something, then yes, you could see a rush of value investors potentially getting in. And then aside from that, number of retail investors kind of did buy the dip, if that makes sense. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Did you guys buy? Did you guys sell? What did you guys do with Lucid? And like I mentioned, I'm just going to quickly play this quick interview, and that is with Sid. So this is more oriented towards just supply agreements and things like that.
Hey everyone, Richard Logan here from Automotive Logistics and Supply Chain Global 2024. I'm joined here on the Automotive Logistics Red Sofa with Sid Philar, Senior Manager Global Logistics Procurement at Lucid Motors. Sid, great to have you here. Let's get straight into it. Let's talk about logistics procurement and partnerships. What should a win-win partnership look like in the automotive supply chain today?
I think it's what we've learned from our experience is the right kind of IT investments. You need to have the right kind of contracts in place, making sure it's a fair contract negotiation. And you got to have the right processes and guardrails in place to make sure there's ongoing communication and regular feedback, be it pricing, be it operations, and various other areas, IT integration, etc., is what I think makes it a win-win partnership between the two organizations.
Yeah, excellent. And what are some of the steps that you've taken during your time at Lucid to make this vision a reality?
You know, what we discussed in the past has been making sure you have the right kind of leadership engagement. We've seen it facilitates and makes a lot of things easy when it comes to be it funding, making sure you have the right kind of teams being involved. You need all aspects. In fact, just for example, you need to have the operations team, you need to have the material planning team when it comes to a complex IT integration, and that is facilitated by the leadership. Right, so I think these are the kind of examples that would kind of lead to, say, standardized contracts and making sure you have them equitable. It's not about squeezing the supplier, but it's also about, it's a two-way street. You got to make sure you have the right give and take when it comes to some of the T's and C's in the contract. So that's what I view it as.
Absolutely, and so developing that, becoming a customer of choice is now a key focus.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, based on our experience from the pandemic, it's not a number game. It's not about just data-based relationships. It's also to do with the right kind of partnership. It's a long-term partnership. You're not going out, with a big wide web the net to make sure you know it's you got to have the right kind of partners to begin with, and then make sure it's a right fit. There's a lot of strategies that you need to take into account, be it the timing of the RFP, be it the sort of right size company based on your spend and volume that you currently hold, right? I mean, you don't want to end up. I mean, once you get to that, you got to scale up along with a partner. That's what we've seen is working for us.
Yeah, excellent. And you mentioned there building developing strategic partnerships. For instance, how has the role of the LSP and the provider base changed, perhaps from operational to more strategic over recent years?
Yeah, so I think, you know, some of the key guardrails or checkpoints that we've kind of established is having the right kind of cadence, communication, cadence meetings, the right kind of strategic business reviews, making sure it's not a tactical discussion, but it's all about sharing your long-term range plans, the right kind of data that you can share, right? Making sure you have the right kind of KPI monitoring, the right kind of compliance and risk management assessments. You've got to have the right kind of contingency plans. You've got to have the right kind of supplier risk plans. In fact, you know, one thing that I've experienced in my past experience, without taking names, is we in fact did not have the right kind of past experience, did not have the right kind of supplier risk management tools in place that led to a huge data breach. And we were out of emails and the systems were down for weeks or even months. So I think that's something that you got to take care and make sure you have in place so you don't run into massive issues like these.
Yeah, very interesting. And you know, throughout this conference, we've heard about the role of the growing role of AI, data analytics, data science. How's that influencing logistics procurement, and how are you utilizing that at Lucid?
I think it's on our IT roadmap. In fact, we take a lot of pride in being agile and nimble. And there are some processes that we're working on, but the ideal case steady state, IT roadmap, we absolutely are looking at some of the predictive analysis, predictive AI tools that are basically going to, start looking at some of the geographical, let's say, unrest or if it's a weather-related storm or hurricane, we have that visibility. We make sure we understand what that, how that's going to impact our lanes, our volume, and the shipping aspect of it, and we start taking some of the precautions. So I think that. In addition to that, we also have been focused. Some of the digital tools we are also focusing on are the likes of e-sourcing. I've been a huge advocate of e-sourcing since 2009. I've been fortunate enough to have worked with some of the. I was on the freight forwarding side and had the chance to work with the likes of Estée Lauder, Dow Corning, Ansell Healthcare, and some of the big names, where we actually started using e-sourcing and digitalization of the sourcing processes. That kind of eliminated a lot of human errors and also scenario building ability is what. There are lots of e-sourcing tools out there in the market. They say they can do it, but end of the day, if you're not able, and logistics is not, every space has its own complexity, but I think logistics having, thousands of lanes and 10, 20 columns, I think who's in logistics would appreciate it in an RFP. I think you need to have these right kind of tools to help you succeed and run a very efficient sourcing process.
Yeah, excellent. Well, great to hear about the opportunities are out there. Yeah. The tools and tech are being developed and available in the market, so exciting space to watch here. Developing supply chain resiliency has been another a critical part of our discussions here and across the industry right now. That can come through trust and transparency with the provider bases, and the willingness to share data, the willingness to share and be more communicative with customer and provider relationships. Is there enough trust and transparency, and what steps are you taking to improve that?
I think it's evolving. I think, I heard one of the an individual in one of the sessions talking about making sure we know what the line is in terms of confidentiality. That's always a a tricky place. But once you establish that, we've come to a point where we see a lot of benefit in terms of sharing the shipping volume, the future shipping volumes, making sure we had the shipping demand forecast that we can share. That leads to a whole lot of capacity planning and making sure we get the right kind of pricing based on what we share, right? So it's a win-win situation. But that we also there's a lot in terms of the open communication, open and transparent communication that needs to happen. Just like a marriage, right? You got to have the right level of engagement in terms of what you share. But outside of that, you got to have the right kind of leadership engagement as well to make sure there's all hands on deck and commitment from both parties.
Yeah, excellent. Some great advice there, some great tips and steps on how to create a more competitive and win-win ecosystem, supply chain ecosystem. So, Philar, thank you so much. That's it from the Red Sofa for now. See you again soon.
Yeah, all in all, pretty good stuff. He kind of mimics what Peter does state. I think it's just people overlook and just don't really pay attention to Peter when he starts his earning calls with his salesman pitch. He kind of touches on a lot of these types of kind of infrastructure, strategic partnerships, and whatever that is going to benefit Lucid in the bigger picture. But it's, I guess, those finite things that is eventually going to bring the cost down. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And with all that, appreciate all of you guys watching.